Some general information on anatomy is that muscles work together and bones and muscles are connected by tendons. There is also the filament theory, where your filaments, as they get tighter, they glide along each other, and get tighter and get thicker but smaller. Muscles also pull on bones. The agonist is a muscle that is doing the work and contracts, while the antagonist relaxes but it controls the speed of your movement. In this photo you can see that the tricep is the agonist as it's doing the work and being contracted, and the triceps the antagonist. This is just what to show you what is the antagonist and agonist there. In this part of the video I'll be talking about joints. In this part I'll be talking about the hinge joint. The hinge joint is located at your elbows and at your knees, and phalanges. This joint only allows movement in one direction, just like a door hinge. This movement only allows for flexion and extension. This joint can only open until it's straight, but no more. The next joint I'll be talking about is the saddle joint. This joint allows movement in two directions. Some examples are at the ankle and the wrist. One bone concaves while the other convexes. Also, it looks like a saddle. That's why it's been named the saddle joint. The ball and socket joint is what I'm going to be talking about next, as it occurs when I'm kicking a penalty. The ball and socket joint can be found at your hip or at your shoulder. The ball and socket joint consists of a ball-shaped bone and a cavity-like bone as they fit into place, and the ball-shaped bone can move around. This joint is the most flexible or movable joint in the body, as it can rotate, abduct, adduct, flex and extend. Now we'll be talking about muscles. As I said before, muscles pull on bones. There are four muscles I want to mention in this movement: the hamstring, quadricep, tibial anterior, and also the gastrocnemius. The hamstring is the agonist, as it's tensing up and this muscle contracts. So, as the muscle works in pairs, the quadricep would be the antagonist, as it is controlling the movement of the upper leg and it's relaxed. But also, gastrocnemius is being used as an agonist in this movement, as it's controlling the lower leg. So that means the opposite would be the tibial anterior, so that would be used as an agonist as it is controlling the movement. In this movement of the kick, the gastrocnemius and the tibialis anterior are the used muscles. On my right leg, on the photo, you can see that the agonist is a gastrocnemius, as it's tensed up. So the pair of this would be the tibialis anterior, which would be the antagonist, and it's controlling the movement. But on the right leg, you can see it's completely opposite, as the gastrocnemius is the antagonist, as it's controlling the movement of my left leg, and the tibialis anterior is the agonist, as it's being contracted and tensed up. In this movement, the spinal erector is an agonist, as my body is demanding the balance from this part. So the abdominals would be the antagonist, as it is a pair of the spinal erector and controls the movement of the lower bit of the body. The gastrocnemius would be an antagonist, and the tibialis anterior is the agonist. The hamstring is the agonist, and quadriceps is the antagonist. In this part I'll be talking about the bones in the body that are to do with the free movements. The skeleton is there to keep you upright and for movement, and it also protects your vital organs. So without your skeleton you'd just be a blob on the ground. Because your knee is a hinge joint, they can only be flexion and extension here, and in this case it's showing flexion as it's decreasing the angle where the red line is. The femur is involved, tibia and fibula are involved, and also the patella. The patella is there so your leg doesn't fling up and go too far. In this movement there are plenty of bones involved. Lots in your foot, like the metacarpals, the carpals, and the phalanges. They're all when I'm making contact with the ball, and they help with the plantar flexion. There's also the femur, fibula, and tibia, which are to do with the extension that's happening. As you can see where the red line is, it shows the angle, and it's getting increased as the leg is going down to strike the ball. So that's what extension is. And it's also showing plantar flexion as my foot is facing toes down as it's about to strike the ball, which is plantar flexion as it's going down. In this final movement, I've already hit the ball and my leg swinging upwards and my arm is heading away from my body. There are plenty of bones involved, as the spine is arched, so that's involved. My fibula, my tibia, my patella is involved. My phalanges, my carpals and my metacarpals, and humerus are all involved with this movement. You can see that there's some abduction slightly in this movement, as my arm is pulling away. It is where the red. My arm is not only pulling backwards, it's pulling a bit sideways as well, which would be the abduction as it's away from the center of my body. Also, that there's some dorsiflexion going on, as my foot is facing upwards, but more than it naturally would be, which makes it dorsiflexion. Thanks for listening to the video. My voice sounds a bit tired because it's late at night. Thank you.